Hey friend, welcome to another episode of Changing the Face of Wellness podcast. I am your wellness coach and host, Rachel Harper. Let's jump right into it. So I'm excited for today's episode because I thought it was very important for my listeners to understand the movement that is being created with Changing the Face of Wellness podcast. And I want you, specifically you, the one who's listening right now, I want you to be able to decide whether you want to be on board with this movement or whether you're like, I'll pass, okay? Because this is not just a podcast where you're just getting just random information. This is a podcast where we are starting a movement. Now, when it comes to changing the face of wellness, that title came from, a thought that I had in my annoyance of what I see in the, the health and the wellness space. So this is my annoyance. This is my annoyance that I get. So when it comes to the Black space, oftentimes in healthcare, we are often talked to from the standpoint of after we have the diagnosis, what can we do? What pills can we take? What medicines can we take? What doctors do we need to possibly see? Can we afford the doctor? Do we have enough insurance? All the things, right? Which that's important. But I'm ready for us in the Black community to be talked to from the standpoint of prevention. How do we avoid a lot of these diseases? How can we, prevent some of these diseases like cardiovascular disease? How can we prevent the heart attack? How can we prevent diabetes? How can we prevent obesity or, things of that nature? Okay. Cardiovascular disease is my area of expertise. So I love this talk from the standpoint of heart attacks and strokes and things of that. But how can we as a Black community prevent those things? Okay. And it's not just the heart attacks and, the diabetes and things of that nature, but how can we prevent the symptoms that often tells us that we are en route to, having a heart attack or that we are en route to having diabetes. But specifically, I want to talk about the heart. Okay. Specifically, how can we change what wellness looks like so that we can have healthy hearts, so that we can prevent the heart attack? Research shows is that Black women are 352% more likely to die if they have a heart attack. And so what that tells me is that we need to figure out what is it that we can do in our space to change what wellness looks like for us. Oftentimes when you hear the word wellness, when you hear the word well-being, it seems like it's just this cliche word that's for, and it's no offense because this is just often what I see. It often seems like it's for the blonde-haired woman or the young girl who has all this time. She doesn't have any kids. She doesn't have a man. She's living in this high rise. She has a dog. She loves Pinterest. And she just have this small frame and just everything about her life is just amazing, right? That's just what we tend to see. And so when we see those things oftentimes in marketed or in the influence space or, online and things of that nature, then that typically tells us that isn't for us. The wellness space isn't for us. It's cliche. It's just a word that's thrown around. But if we hear a word like diabetes, if we hear a word like obesity, if we hear a word like heart attack, then hey, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the Black community. And I think that we definitely need to change that around. Yes, we do still need to talk to the individuals who have had the heart attack, who is overwhelmed, who has the stress and things of that nature. But we need to start changing how wellness looks for the Black community. And that means talking from the standpoint of prevention. How do we avoid the obesity? How do we avoid the heart attack? That's what this movement is about. So if you're like, you know what, I'm ready to do the preventative maintenance with myself to make sure that I stay on the good end of healthcare where I can just go every year and get my checkups. I don't have to worry about spending a bunch of money on prescriptions and prescription drugs. I don't have to worry about always going on WebMD, being concerned about what I have because I know I get my checkups yearly. I know I go every 6 months to the dentist. I know I focus on my self-care, my soul care. I know that I have a good relationship with God. I know I'm doing the things up front. Now, listen, I'm not telling you that if you do all these things, I'm not telling you that prevention means that you will 100% never, ever have any type of diagnosis for the rest of your life. Okay. But what I am telling you is that you can lower your chances of certain diseases when you move into a place of prevention. And one of the things that I know about us Black individuals, Black women, is that we tend to say that we don't have enough time, right? We don't have enough time to focus on certain things. We don't have enough time to focus on ourselves. We don't have enough time to focus on, going to the gym. We don't have enough time to cook the meal because a lot of us, we are professional working women. We are juggling a lot of things. We're juggling family. We're juggling our professional life and our personal life. Our work life is out of balance. We have people around us who love us, but they're fighting for our time. Our physical and mental health may be starting to decline. Medical concerns are increasing. That makes our life more stressful. Again, that work-life balance or work-life harmony really isn't there, and the workload, it just seems to be piling up even more. Right? Many of us are passionate about our careers, but the passion dwindles and we feel more burnt out oftentimes over time. Okay. And so we have to learn how to get in front of all of those things. We can't just stay stuck in a place where medical concerns are the norm. We cannot stay stuck in a place where people are often fighting for our energy and our time, because by the time we leave work, we don't have enough energy to do anything. Okay. So we got to make sure that we're moving out of that space. We got to make sure that, yes, we're passionate about our career, but we're not so passionate about our career that we come home more burned out than when we left in the morning. Okay. So we got to make sure that we are getting in the front of these things, turning these things around, and making sure that our lives are so much better than when we first started in our professional roles, our professional careers, and things of that nature. Okay. So I thought it was important for me to just explain what it means that we are changing the face of wellness. Wellness looks like me. Wellness can look like you. Wellness looks like the Black woman who gets up in the morning with energy. It looks like the Black woman who has a professional job and a life at home, and both of them are in harmony. It looks like the Black woman who has enough energy for the things she loves, including her hobbies. It looks like the Black woman who has time to go to the gym, and even if she feels like she doesn't have time, she knows how critical it is to at least turn on a video at home on YouTube, walk away the pounds, to get in some steps to make sure that she is on the side of prevention. Okay, preventative maintenance with her health. And so I want you to get into that mode as well. And so changing the face of wellness is on that trip to make sure that the word wellness for the Black community is not just a word that is thrown around. We want to make sure it is a word that when wellness and well-being, that word is said, we realize that it also applies to us. It applies to the Black woman. It applies to the Black man. Okay. Because more than likely you're a Black woman who is listening to this, and you may have loved ones at home. Research shows that when a Black woman receives information, she is more likely to share what she has learned. She is more likely to tell people around her because she is more likely to want those who are closest to her to succeed. So if you are listening to this and you have listened here close to the end, then I know that you have loved ones and friends and people around you who you want to see succeed as well, including yourself. And so listen, what I want you to do to get started with changing how wellness looks for you, I want you to go to restformymind.com. You are going to download the Limit ebook plus workbook. And inside of this ebook, it gives you 5 transformational steps to build your boundaries and stick to them. Now, why are we talking about boundaries? We're talking about boundaries because most of the time, the reason why we don't have enough energy, we don't have enough time, and we're feeling burned out, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling stressed, is because people have too much access to us. People might have too much access to you, and you got to learn how to limit that access, because the only one who has unlimited capacity is God. So we got to make sure we're getting ourselves off the throne. We're not playing God. We're not being God. And we're realizing that our capacity is limited. So should people's access to us, so that we can make sure our stress is low, our weight is down, our joy is up, the transformation that we get with our health is there. We got to make sure all those things are occurring. Okay. So I want you to go ahead and subscribe to this podcast, because listen, we are in season 2. And because we are in season 2, we are going full force ahead into our prevention, making sure we are good on the inside and the outside. And we are making sure that our soul is good and everything else that has to go with it. All right. So I want you to go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you share this episode as well, and share this podcast with those who are closest to you. Because we are friends, I know that you will share, right? Because we are friends and friends share, I know that you will share with someone else also in your community who would like to get access to this. So don't forget to go to restformymind.com, download your ebook. It's also a workbook to make sure that you can start setting boundaries so that people have limited access to your capacity. I'll see you next time.